Good evening, and welcome. Welcome to this regular council meeting of the Helotes City Council. It's November 14th, 2019. We're underway at 7 p.m. If you would, our big audience out here, turn your cell phones to off, silent, or vibrate. We'd appreciate it. And we'll open up with our invocation. Councilmember Buys will handle that tonight, and then we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance to the American and Texas flag. So if you would please stand for the invocation of pledges.
Let us give thanks for all the blessings, opportunities, and challenges you have given us. Guide us with your strength and wisdom so we can make the right decision for all the citizens of Helotes. Thank you for our so talented Helotes area community band for their wonderful concert that they performed this past Sunday afternoon that honored our military personnel, past and present. It was a wonderful event. We also ask you to give all our employees and their families a very happy Thanksgiving and a happy holiday season. They are why our city is as great as it is. As always, we ask that you please keep our first responders, not only here, but all over the country, safe while they perform their unselfish duties. For those that are not able to be with their family and loved ones because of military service, we pray for your quick and safe return. May we give our best always and be assured of your presence with us. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Okay, next up we have citizens to be heard. I'm assuming neither one of you turned anything in to speak, so we'll move on to the consent agenda. Since we have no one wanting to speak in open session, tonight's consent agenda is items 3 through 7. So I would ask, does anybody have a question on any item or a request to pull any of these items 3 through 7?
I had a quick question on 7, just a real quick question. Is this going to be a housing development? It says subdivision.
Well, that's basically the way they all say. That's the legal termination. Even if it's a one lot, it's called a subdivision.
Oh, okay. But this isn't going to be, I don't think, homes, is it?
No.
Okay. This is next to Jupy over there,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
This is the
It's just
building that had the rust-colored
Oh,
office building.
okay.
Yeah,
I should know that. Okay.
They're just platting the lot.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And a separate building in the back, which will be Apple Pest Control.
Anything else?
No, sir.
No request to pull anything? Then I would call for a motion to approve consent agenda items 3 through 7.
Motion to approve consent agenda items 3 through 7.
We have a motion from Holmes. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Fredericks. No discussion being required. We'll call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. Consent agenda items 3 through 7 are approved. That brings us to item number 8. First up on our individual items for discussion, and this is pertaining to adding a little bit more equipment to the purchase of dash cameras for the police vehicles that you all approved with the budget, and we want to do body cameras, so that's what this is all about. It's going to cost a little more than what the total package of just dash cameras was going to cost on the other one. So this will be a discussion of an action on the issuance of a purchase order to Applied Concepts, Inc., Stalker Radio for body-worn cameras in the amount of $12,000. So if I can have a motion in a second to discuss and take action.
Mayor, I make a motion to discuss, take action on 8.
Have a motion from Buys. Do I have a second?
Second.
Oh,
Second.
he beat you.
Oh.
No, you got it. Just by a hair.
A thousandth of a second.
Okay. And the agenda request form, hopefully pretty well explained it. As you may recall, during the budget, at the last meeting, just before the budget was presented, the PD had let us know that They were really having trouble more and more with those cameras, and they were at the end of life. And the Coban had given us a bid for around $74,000, and that was just for dash cameras. And when we were at the TMO conference, Bert and I, we stopped by the Stalker radio booth and visited with them. As it turned out, they had pointed out we already have some Stalker radar units. And so these dash cameras will work with those radar units, and we're going to have to buy a few more radar units as well. That's another thing that caused this thing to go up a little bit, as you can see by my breakdown there. But bottom line, it's going to cost us about $85,000 versus the $74,000. So we're asking for $12,000 additional funds, and this is going to buy us the dash cams that we need, 4 radar units that we need. It will buy us a Dell server, 40 terabyte server that'll handle all of the videos that we typically do, and body worn cameras, 18 of them. That's basically it. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to try and answer them for you. Other than that, we have a motion and a second.
Mr.
We can
Mayor,
go
I have a
ahead.
question.
But Bert, it's your item, so go ahead.
Okay, so we're not replacing, they don't have any right now, that's a given. Are they gonna have to go through training to,
Yes, there's a course, and we've already got it established, and they'll be going through that to be qualified to use
and
them.
then another thing I wanted to ask, is dispatch gonna be able to see our officers live when they get out of their cars and are using their, or do you know that?
We do have live stream access. It's based upon the administrator, whoever the PD decides that'll have ability to watch that. But there's some problems if you have too many people watching it as far as
Right.
the
I
evidence,
understand.
trail of evidence and those kinds of things. But these are real unique because the radar will actually show up in the corner of the video. So the speed, if they clock somebody doing over the speed limit, it puts it on the video. The body cam video will sync with the dash cam video. And instead of us having to run CDs and deliver them to the attorneys, sometimes that's necessary. This is all subject to being emailed, and it's got a lot of features. The PD is real excited about it, and this is the first time they've been in favor of body cams, and it's because other departments are using them and because we dispel some of their fears.
Okay. And then another thing, I know this doesn't have anything to do with the agenda item per se, but hopefully we can get that carport covered area
Yeah.
put in, because with new cameras and these new cameras also for their deals, we need to protect them from the sun.
We're working on it.
Okay, very good. That's all I had, Mayor.
Okay, Alan?
How many body cams? I thought it was 15. You just said
18.
18,
Yeah,
okay.
it's on that second page of the quote, I believe.
Okay. Are these body cams assigned to individual officers, or are they specific to a particular unit?
Officer. And when
Okay.
the officer logs into the unit with the dash cam, it automatically syncs with that dash cam.
So this is something they take home with their uniform?
Yeah, that's the idea. Each one comes with a charger, plus we'll have a docking station in the department, and the purpose for that is when they get off their shift, they'll put it in the docking station, and it uploads those videos from the body camera to the server and syncs it with the dash cams, and and then it deletes everything. The officers cannot delete anything from the body cam during their shift.
Okay.
And so the docking station takes care of the upload here, and then they'll take it home with them, put it in the charger, and be ready the next day.
The next day, start with a fresh unit with a clear
Yes.
memory.
Yes. I was looking, on page, well, it doesn't have, but it's the second, you look at the Stalker cover sheet, and then it's the second page, it shows 18 body-worn HD cameras. Alex, any
Thank you, Mayor.
questions? or
Yes,
comments?
I've, some of which has already been addressed in that point. I presume that in addition to training, there's going to be must be a particular procedure that we're going to have to follow on this, right? Because
Yeah, they're working up a policy.
I was going to say, there needs to be a lot of rules and regulations in order to make the process on that. I had spoken with the chief a number of years ago, and he was clearly at that time less than enthusiastic about the idea of body cams, and so I'll take it on faith that he's changed his mind, but
Well, he is-
I think it's time that we do that, because we've got to protect our officers, and I think that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I've
It comes with problems if we don't do it right.
Yeah, I've
So-
suggested to them several times that we do it, and they've been hesitant. This time I was real surprised they jumped at it, especially after seeing the demonstration. Chavano Park uses them, and one of our new officers, who's a lady, she spoke very highly of them. So they're excited. Anything else, Alex?
No, sir, thank you.
Cynthia?
I don't have anything to say.
Okay, Paul?
So, do these things turn on and off as you interact? I mean, I'm sure they don't sit there and they're not recording 24/7.
No,
Do they turn them on? They turn them off?
they can be manually turned on, and they can be synchronized when the light bar goes on. It'll go on automatically. But if they're making a regular stop, once they get out of the car, if the camera's going, they punch the button, and it automatically sync with the dash cam. So to answer your question both ways,
Yeah.
Okay, but they can manually turn it off.
yes. They can't delete anything that's recorded. Right, that will go to the server. In other words, they can't selectively edit their videos.
But that was my question. I mean, can you turn it off and then
Yes.
turn it back on?
Yes,
If, it will.
yes, but the policy will be if they make a stop or they have that dash cam going, they better have their body camera going.
Okay, so that's gonna be the policy.
Yeah, and that's
Okay.
part of, and Captain Burgess is already putting the policy together. He's basically just gone to a lot of sources he has and just putting the new policy together. So by the time the equipment's here, that'll all be in place and they should be fully trained. That it?
Yes.
Bert, anything else? Alan?
I see it as a win-win-win for the police department, for the city, and the citizens and general public.
Okay. There's still a few questions on some additional things that we'll need, but they're fairly minor, and that's why I allowed the extra $900. I think that'll cover it. Alex, anything else?
No, sir.
Okay. Nobody needs more discussion. We'll call the question. All in favor of approving the extra $12,000 to purchase the additional equipment, say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. We certainly appreciate it. Next is the voting for the board member for the Bear Appraisal District, and I'd like to give Selena high kudos on this. She dug in. The Appraisal District did not give us any information on any of the candidates, and she scoured the internet and found a bio on just about all of them. And we notified them, and you probably saw the letter, that Schroeder's no longer with us, so they struck his name as a candidate. But it's really up to you guys. If you read the bios, I have a couple of them that stood out to me, but I'll stay out of it. And so we just look for a motion and a second then to discuss and take action on who you want to cast your 5 big votes for.
Mayor, I make a motion that we discuss, take action on 9.
Motion by Buys. Second? Anybody?
Second.
Second by Fredericks. You can cast all your votes for one individual. You can split them up. The choice is yours. So Bert, you got any
Well, that was my
preference?
question. I didn't know if we had to vote as a block or, no, it's okay.
Spread 'em around.
I went through this, and thank you, Selena, for doing this for us. I went through them, and I don't know any of these people personally, but after reading their bios, and again, just by reading bios doesn't mean that they're going to be the greatest candidate, but I chose, my first choice was was Miss Byram, Cherry Byram. She has been on the appraisal board for 6 years and also was a chairman of the board for those 2 years. I know not everybody's happy with the Bexar County Appraisal Board at all times, but I put some value in, you know, being on it before. And then the second one, my second choice was Mr. Torres. He's also been on the board before also, and his other education and all that. So those are the two choices that I had. My first choice was, again, Ms. Byram.
Okay, Paul?
Like Councilman Baez, I kind of like the Ms. Byram. My second choice would have been Ms. Ross, but I'm fine with the first candidate, Byram.
Who was your second one?
Ross.
Oh, okay. Cynthia?
Ross is my first choice, and Aaron Harrison is my second choice. I think it's, you know, considering what's going on with the appraisal district, and the fact that this woman that is first choice has been on it for 6 years, and everyone is very displeased with the edicts that have come down. I don't understand why anyone would want to continue with the same individuals. Not that our vote's going to make any bit of difference, but I think Ross, because of her fiscal responsibility and lowering their tax rate by 3%,
Yeah, I saw that.
and the other lady, same thing. So those two are two.
What was your second one? Who?
Aaron
Oh, Harrison?
Harrison.
Who's this? Which one? What was your second one?
Harrison, Aaron Harrison?
Almus Park.
Yeah, she
City
was one I
Council.
checked also. Alex, anything?
Yes, sir. I also thought Harrison was a good selection, and also then on the, where was that, I lost the other one here, on Mayor Pro Tem Ross from there. I thought that some of them seemed to have a little conflict. I thought Mr. Torres, having been, it seemed like a little conflict, having been for Northside School District for many years as their finance officer, seemed like it was kind of a conflict that he would then be on the board that generates the finances. So, but those were my two. Sorry, Al.
Okay, Alan?
My first choice is Michelle Ross for basically the same reasons that Cynthia mentioned, and second choice would be Ms. Byram.
Okay, well, keeping score here, Ross got 4 votes, Byram got 3, Harrison got 2, and Torres got 1. So you can split them up or just give them all to Ross, if that's what you'd like to do. Ross got 4 votes out of 5. Or you could go split them up between Ross and Byram, or Ross and Harrison. It's up to you guys. Yeah. How do you want to?
Councilmember Massey has changed my mind. I like what she said about we probably need some new blood in there. And I hope our vote does make a difference, but you're probably just 5 votes is not that much. But I like your thoughts on that, and thank you for bringing that up. The district has been a little suspect in some of their decisions, so I've changed my mind, and I'll go with Ross.
Okay, well, that makes 5. So y'all just want to cast all 5 for Ross? That sound good?
We'll make a statement.
Okay, yeah, big statement. Okay, well, if that works for you guys, then we'll take a vote, call the question, and casting a yes vote would be to cast all 5 votes for Michelle Bunting Ross. And any further discussion? None needed? All in favor of casting all 5 votes for Michelle Bunting Ross, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. And by golly, that finishes us up. And Alex, you were right. Alex was up on 25 minutes or less, so.
Were we betting on this?
Although I must say, as a disclaimer, we weren't in a rush. We did everything according to plan. But we're going to adjourn then. If there's no objections, we'll adjourn at 7:19.